I used to be one of those people who would leave a religious tract at the table for the waitress, along with, I would always leave a 15 or 20% tip, but I would leave a tract there hoping that she might pick it up and it might just save another soul. As I discovered the Episcopal Church and grew into that tradition during college, I found that that style of evangelism didn't work for me anymore, but I didn't really know what did. I've had some experiences that have helped me understand different ways of reaching out and sharing the message of God's love with the world that I didn't have before. One of those has come from working monthly doing ministry at Ruth's Cottage, a local domestic violence shelter in Tifton. And I go in and have dinner with the women, and we have this small circle of strangers, really. And after dinner, we take some time to reflect on the Gospels. And most of the women, it's the Bible Belt, they've grown up with the church. They know God and they believe in God, but they're in a process of redefining their lives at that time. And so part of that is redefining who God is for them, because God, unfortunately, looks a lot like their abuser to them, is more of the authoritarian, punishing, teach you a lesson kind of God. So we look at the Gospels and we see how Jesus interacts with women, and we see a very different picture of who God is in the world and how God treats women, how God loves all of us. And that's a pretty powerful moment for those women. And then we have an opportunity to share communion together, bring healing oil so we can have healing prayer for those who wish to receive. And for many there, that's the first taste of grace they've had in a long time, if ever. And I find those to be much more powerful tools than any single piece of paper or any packaged presentation that I could make to them. Another thing that has helped me understand evangelism was this summer at the Wild Goose Festival in North Carolina, and I was helping out with the Episcopal tent where we had Eucharist and Compline every day. And I had insisted that we have real prayer books, that we would hold those for worship even though it was an outdoor event. And I'm glad I did, because that night a 10-year-old girl had come to our campsite and learned about using a thurible, and then we invited her to stay for Compline. And after Compline, she turned to me and said, "Where do I find this on my computer?" And I said, "Well, Hannah, you don't have to find it on your computer. This is your book now. You can keep it, and you can pray these prayers at night, and you can pray prayers in the morning and at noon, and for every time in your life, there are prayers for you here, and this is your book." And she just hugged it and ran off to her tent with her family. And in the morning, her mother came to me and said that she had come to the tent and said, "Mama, I think I found my religion." And I was moved to tears, because I knew it wasn't a religion she had found, but she had found God in a new way through the prayers in the prayer book. And her mom told me then that Hannah has autism and had not found a way to connect with God, but something about Compline clicked for her, for a 10-year-old girl, in that red book that she held in her hand, and that she went back to the tent and wanted to pray it with her family that night. And then I saw her a little bit later walking toward the Episcopal tent with that prayer book clutched to her chest, holding it out like she was processing the gospel. It was just a beautiful thing to see her connection to that and know that it reflected a deeper connection with God that might not have been possible without that book. You know, I've never thought of our 900+ page prayer book as a religious tract, and it wouldn't be practical to just leave it on the table in a diner, but maybe we should do more of that. I think sometimes we tend to hoard our prayer books and our sacraments inside our church buildings. And when we do, we're missing a powerful tool for evangelism that God has given us to respond to a hurting and a hungry world.